Hello, beautiful, sensitive souls, and welcome to Surviving to Thriving, where we address how to move from struggle and just surviving in a world that's too big, too fast, too busy, too loud, just too much, to a place of calm and actually thriving as highly sensing people. I'm your host and high sensory coach, Tammy Goen, and I'm so glad, as always, to be here with you. And it's really my vision that every highly sensing person out there will stop hiding and feeling wrong, playing small, stop trying to be less sensitive, which is often the goal, to actually come to honor their amazing, unique skills and talents, and to embrace their sensitive nature so they can be a gentle yet strong force in the world. And we've never needed that more than what we do right now. So this month is all about managing and minimizing overwhelm. And if you're a highly sensing person, you know that navigating the world can sometimes feel like a whirlwind of stimuli and emotions. And today we'll explore how to get in touch with and honor your feelings, address that sense of there being too much happening or going on, checking in with your needs and prioritizing self-care, and establishing boundaries, that key phrase there, to maintain your calm and honor and cherish your beautiful self. So I want to start by reminding you that being a highly sensing person is actually a gift. It's a very wonderful thing. It's not a weakness. And our heightened sensitivity allows us to connect with the world on a profound level, experience the beauty of life in a vibrant way, and empathize with others in a deeply compassionate way. And if you have a hard time with our non-sensitive world sometimes, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. Being highly sensing in a too much world can lead to feeling overwhelmed. So let's look at some ways that we can avoid getting to that place of overwhelm and wanting to just detach from the world. So a first step is to understand and acknowledge your sensitivity. So recognizing that being highly sensing is an inherent part of who you are. It's not a flaw to fix, but a quality to really embrace. Take time to learn more about what it means to be an HSP. Explore perhaps various articles, various books, Elaine Aron's work and other people's work. There's new stuff coming out all the time. Just learn more about the trait itself. And then you get to remember that it's not just you. You're not alone on this journey. And then you will find things that you may not even be aware of, or that just help you to feel better about having this trait. And knowing what it's like just for you specifically to be highly sensing is really important, and honoring that rather than making excuses or expecting yourself to be different. And it's important to move beyond the expectations and limit that frustration by just acknowledging that it's totally okay that you are sensitive. And it's also good to just explore that more deeply about what your own personal experience is. What are your triggers? What leaves you drained and unfocused and frazzled? And how can you make adjustments to minimize those things? Those might be completely different than other HSPs that you know, or people who are in your family who are not HSP. Whatever that is for you, it's important to identify that and really honor it, and just see that as, oh, this is me, this is what I need, and not be comparing that with anyone else who looks different. And to minimize overwhelm, we have to get in touch with our feelings. And this means allowing ourselves to feel and experience our emotions fully without judgment or self-criticism. We need to create a safe space for our emotions. And whether that's through journaling and meditation, or simply sitting in a quiet place, when we embrace our feelings, we can begin to process and release the emotional weight that is behind that. It's easy for HSPs to minimize or completely ignore our feelings. Sometimes they just seem so huge and other people don't like that. But sometimes we tend to go within, we discount them and just want them to go away. And sometimes we are focusing on others' needs or trying to make sure that we don't look weak or bad or less than. And we often have this tendency to this need to uphold our self-proclaimed need to be perfect. And perfect people don't feel disappointed or angry, right? Yeah, no, wrong. So HSPs, we can feel these, all these feelings very, very deeply. And it's important for us to recognize that it's totally okay. So we need to acknowledge these feelings, allow them to be there, give them the space, pay attention, and then we can choose to let them go so that they don't limit us in any way. But we have a hard time letting them go if we're not honoring them and saying it's okay to experience them in the first place. So it's also very common for HSPs to feel like there's just too much going on around us. Sometimes that's too many expectations, too much energy, too much in our day, whatever that is, the general environment around us, perhaps wherever you live or where your workspace is like, can just seem like too much. Life can seem too fast or too loud. And as I mentioned, too big. It just seems like a lot. And sometimes we just yearn to slow down and detach and even hide. And it's important to honor that yearning to slow down and detach can have a really positive benefit, that it's not something that's bad, that we want to detach sometimes. We don't want that all the time, but definitely sometimes it's really important. We can't slow down the world, but we can slow down our own lives somewhat. So we can take time for ourselves. Even when there are many things to do, there's always going to be more to put on the to-do list, right? So if we wait for that to end, we'll never take care of ourselves. So we need to bring that to the forefront. And even when there's people we're taking care of, they're going to benefit more if we are taking care of ourselves first. It's important. It's not selfish. So being mindful can help. We can bring our awareness to the present moment by taking deep breaths, grounding ourselves in the here and now. You can pay attention to all of the sounds around you one at a time, or what the floor or the ground underneath you feels like, or notice that your body's experiencing various feelings or sensations, and notice what that's like. And just sometimes by noticing, things will shift. So you can just see if that will happen. But some of these simple actions, just paying attention to what you're doing, even if it's just doing the dishes, just being aware, oh, here I am in the present, this is what I'm doing. And that can be very helpful to kind of filter out some of the noise and create some clarity and minimize that chaos. Highly sensing people often have deep emotional and physical needs. We talked about that. We're just wired differently. Our bodies need things in a different way. And so if we're checking in with ourselves regularly, that will be very, very helpful, very beneficial. So if you ask yourself, what do I need right now? Is it solitude, a warm bath, a walk in nature, or maybe even just disappearing into a good book for 15 or 30 minutes? Maybe it's taking a 10-minute break and then adding one of those breaks for every 90 minutes or so of work throughout the day. Whatever that is that you need, we need to listen. So we can get wrapped up in taking care of everyone and everything and forget about us. And sometimes that's a conscious decision and sometimes it's not. So taking this time to ask how you are and what you need, identifying those needs and honoring them will definitely help going forward and empowers you to make choices that will nurture your well-being. And I know I return to this like a broken record, but self-care is not a luxury. It is a necessity, especially for HSPs. It is that for everyone, but especially for us. So make self-care a non-negotiable part of your daily routine. And sometimes that might be things that you do for yourself once a month, once a week, but you definitely need things also every single day. So whether it's daily meditation, walks in nature, and maybe you do treat yourself to a massage or not. And as a massage therapist myself, I don't see that as just something you treat yourself with. That's very important. So you can also acknowledge that. But whatever it is that you're doing to take care of you, that is so, so important. And it needs to be things that will rejuvenate your soul, that will fill up your bucket again. So sometimes, we can choose things like a massage that's going to cost money, but it doesn't have to. Some little things that we can do every single day that don't have to cost anything, but they just fill up our bucket. Maybe it's pausing for a moment and listening to a really inspiring piece of music that every time you hear it, you notice it. And when you've listened, it just calms your whole system. Something simple as that, but on a regular basis, not not just once we've taken care of everything, then we can focus on us. We need to be doing that constantly so that we can fill our buckets. We can be the people that we want to be for everyone else instead of becoming depleted. And I spent a month talking about this a while back. Establishing and maintaining boundaries is necessary, and it's a game changer for HSPs. Learning to say no when necessary and protecting your precious energy is key to minimizing the overwhelm and feeling effective and empowered. Setting boundaries helps you create a safe and nurturing environment for yourself, preventing the drain of overextending and overcommitting. We cannot make everyone happy, and we don't need to. This is kind of a big idea for HSPs sometimes, but we do not have that responsibility to make everyone happy. And it's important to set our limits and see them as necessary and a way of honoring ourselves. And then that actually gets modeled to others, whether that's your children or people in your circle. They can see you taking care of yourself, and that gives them an idea to also take care of themselves, because everyone needs that, HSP or not. And how are you doing with listening to your inner guidance and following your messages, your inner knowing? When we force ourselves to do things that don't resonate, whether from listening to the shoulds or second guessing our responses and desires, listening to others' expectations, when we override our own inner messages, we usually end up in situations that don't feel right. We get overwhelmed or exhausted, or end up feeling frustrated and resentful. Our bodies and our energy systems will tell us when something is a good idea or not. They just know, it knows. It's our inherent safety mechanism. But most of us tend to ignore the signs and messages to follow the expectations and the shoulds. We have this self-talk that, well, yeah, but what if, and we don't listen to what our body's really telling us is important. So we can practice checking in and listening to our felt sense, and then honoring it and making our decisions according to that felt sense. So also, it's important to honor yourself in all ways. So acknowledging that you have these unique gifts, you have incredible worth and an amazing place in this world. When you treat yourself with kindness and respect, you not only minimize overwhelm, but you also allow your sensitivity to shine as the beautiful, radiant quality that it is. And I know some of this, if you listen to other shows of mine, some of this is repetitive. I bring certain points back, time and again, because they are so, so important, like self-care and calming that nervous system, honoring ourselves as we are. It's just really important to be reminded of this as we go, because we can, again, get locked into that overwhelmed place, or that place of having major expectations of how we're supposed to show up in the world, when really all we need to do is show up as who we are. So let's go ahead and do another little exercise to help be in this place of not just accepting ourselves, but really being in the moment and being mindful and present, so that we can put away everything for a while and just be, because this is really all that matters. We can be wrapped up in what's to come and what was in the past, but none of that helps us. It just heads us into, or keeps us in, that fight or flight mode. So being able to do things to be mindful and really present in the moment are so, so beneficial for us. So wherever you are, just go ahead and, close down your eyes if you want to, just soften your gaze, take some nice deep breaths. And being mindful, we're just going to be paying attention to things. You don't have to actually do anything or change anything. We're just going to be mindful. So first, after taking a few nice, deep breaths, settle in. You can ground yourself with the earth, connect yourself with the cosmos if you'd like. Just settle in. And we're just going to be paying attention. So just notice first. Sometimes sounds can be very annoying for us, but if we purposefully focus on them, they can keep us in the moment in a positive way. So wherever you are, just pay attention to a sound, not everything all at once, but pick one particular sound in your area. Perhaps it's a clock or the heater or something outside the window. Whatever it is, pay attention to what that sound is and just be really aware of it. Maybe have a a sense of curiosity about it. I wonder why it sounds like that, or I wonder what's making that noise. Whatever the curiosity is helps us to shift away from frustration or irritation and just be curious, just wonder and see things from a different perspective. So just paying attention to what that sound is, what it's like, and then move on to a different sound now. Usually we have multiple sounds going on, even if we're in a fairly quiet space. Maybe you can hear the refrigerator running. Maybe you can hear something down the hall if you're in a work situation. Just be aware of it without judgment. It's not a good or bad thing. You're just noticing, just being in the present moment, noticing what that sound is. What's the quality? How does it compare to the one that you just were aware of? And again, no judgment, just noticing. So then move on to yet another sound in your environment. And through curiosity or just focus, just be aware of what it is, what your response is to that, and see if you can go just a little bit deeper in some kind of appreciative space of, even if it's something that's normally very irritating to you, just appreciate why it's there, what it's doing, what the resonance is or the frequency of that sound, just being aware. And now shifting to a different sense, let's pay attention to what you can see. And if your eyes are closed, pay attention to what the light is like on your eyelids. Is it brighter in one side of your space than the other, or from the top than the bottom? Does it seem diffused or sharp? And if you have your eyes open, noticing just in front of you, if you're noticing things kind of being fuzzy because your gaze is soft, maybe you do see something in front of you, just notice what that is. Notice what the lighting is like. And then stepping into yet another sense, pay attention to what you can feel wherever you're at. Feel the seat underneath you, or the floor or the ground under your feet. Be aware of the clothing that you're wearing. Can you feel a collar or feel the snugness in your chest? Is it loose and flowing? Can you feel air between you and your clothing? Feel the temperature where you're at. Is there a breeze? Can you feel the heater sending that air across your skin anywhere? Just being aware of anything that you can feel right now. And then finally, see if there is actually anything to smell. Maybe there's a candle nearby, or someone in the room or the building is cooking, or there's a specific smell that you're aware of in that particular room all the time. Just be aware of anything that you might be able to smell, and maybe you're not aware of much or anything, but just be open to that. And just noticing anything else going on in the room that's on your person or underneath where you're located, around the space, whatever it is that you might have not have noticed before. Just be aware. And again, through that sense of curiosity, if it's something that is typically annoying or irritating, just wonder, oh, I wonder why that's there. Or be aware of something that maybe you hadn't been aware of before. Oh wow, I was never aware of that sensation or that sound or that particular light before. And then now, wherever you are, just be aware specifically of where you're sitting, whether that's a chair or a couch or the floor. And then pay attention to your fingers and your toes. Just be aware of the room that you're in right now. so you're fully present and ready to go forward in your day. This is just a simple technique you can use anytime to just stop when you're feeling totally overwhelmed or feeling like things are amped up and you just need a breather of some kind. You can do some deep breathing. You can do some meditation. You can also do this very simple practice of just being aware of where you are, just stopping for that moment to say, I'm going to pay attention to right here, right now. And that's all you need to worry about. And everything else will shift away for a while. So hopefully that is helpful for you going forward. And as always, I'm really glad to be here with you and would love to connect with you one-on-one at some point. If you'd like to reach out, you can schedule and we can chat, or you can go to my Linktree site profile and find all of the different resources that I have to offer and any other things that are connected with HSP, high sensitivity, if you are not familiar already. And I look forward to seeing you next week. I have an amazing guest to share time with next time. So I look forward to seeing you again and have a fabulous, fabulous week.